Talking to yourself doesn't mean you're losing it. It means you're rare. And in the next 10 minutes, you'll see exactly why people talk to themselves. 5 research-backed signs of a genuinely rare mind, plus one catch at the end that decides whether this voice is a strength or a warning sign. Picture Maya, 11 at night, a job interview at 9 tomorrow. Her first real shot since the spring layoffs. She's pacing her kitchen, running her answers out loud, full sentences, both sides of the conversation. Then she catches her reflection in the dark window, mid-sentence, gesturing at nobody, and stops cold. Great, she thinks. Now I'm the person who talks to herself. Sound familiar? Maybe you've never been Maya at the window, but you've rehearsed an argument in the shower against someone who wasn't even there. You've narrated your way through a grocery store, and some part of you always wondered if that was a glitch. It isn't. There's a certain kind of person whose mind simply refuses to run in silence. And this habit is a completely different machine than the harsh inner critic. It might be one of the rarest strengths a mind can carry. But to see why, you have to go back to where the voice was born. You were about 3 years old. Psychologists have been asking why people talk to themselves for almost a century, and the trail starts with a Russian researcher named Lev Vygotsky. He noticed that small children narrate everything, stacking blocks, holding crayons, talking themselves through every single move. And here's his discovery. Around age 7, that running commentary doesn't disappear. It goes underground. It becomes the inner voice you're thinking with right now. So talking out loud isn't some malfunction that showed up in adulthood. It's the original operating system. And some people just never close the channel. And honestly, the habit is even older than childhood. Long before written language, hunters whispered strategy to themselves before moving on prey. Travelers narrated landmarks out loud to hold a route in memory. This isn't new wiring. It's ancient equipment, still switched on, still working. So no, you're not broken. But what does this old tool actually do for you? The first sign hides in a moment you've probably had this week. Sign 1, rare self-awareness. You say something out loud. Why am I still mad about this? And something strange happens. For a second, there are 2 of you. One who felt the anger, and one who stepped back and asked the question. Psychologists call that reflective awareness, the ability to observe your own mind instead of just obeying it. And most people never split like that. They run on autopilot from breakfast to bed, reacting, scrolling, repeating. But when you talk to yourself, you're interviewing the one witness everyone else ignores, yourself. And if any part of you still finds this embarrassing, here's the number that should end that. Researchers found that 96% of adults live with a constant inner dialogue, and 1 in 4 of us talks out loud every single day. Every single day. You were never the odd one out. But here's what that statistic doesn't tell you. The out loud version can do things the silent version can't. That's sign 2, out loud problem solving. You've seen this one without realizing it. Engineers muttering at whiteboards, chess players whispering through moves nobody else can hear. Programmers keep rubber ducks on their desks because explaining broken code to a plastic duck fixes it faster than staring at the screen. Researchers call part of this the production effect. A thought inside your head can stay vague and comfortable, but say it out loud and it has to take a shape, like dumping a tangled pair of headphones onto the table. You can't work the knot loose until you can actually see it. A flawed plan sounds flawed the moment it hits the air, and the focus piece is the part everyone misjudges. In visual search studies, people who said the name of the thing they were looking for, keys, wallet, phone, found it measurably faster. So that muttering in the parking lot isn't scattered. It's a targeting system. But the most impressive thing your voice can do isn't finding your keys. It's what it does when your day falls apart. Sign 3. Emotional regulation most people never learn. Psychologist Ethan Kross at the University of Michigan studies what he calls distanced self-talk. Coaching yourself by name instead of saying I, not I'm so nervous, but okay, Maya. You've handled worse than this, that tiny switch. One word, really, creates psychological distance. Your brain starts treating the problem like it belongs to someone you're advising. And you've always been a better coach for other people than you are for yourself. In Kross's studies, people who used their own name felt less anxiety, performed better under pressure, and recovered faster afterward. So the next time you hear somebody quietly talking themselves down in an airport bathroom, understand what you're actually watching. Not a crack in someone's sanity. A mind steadying itself, live, with the best tool it has. Quick pause. If these signs keep landing a little too precisely, you're exactly who this channel exists for. And subscribing costs you nothing. But stick around, because sign 4 is where the voice stops solving problems and starts creating things. A built-in creative partner. When you argue with yourself out loud, you're doing something structurally strange. You're playing both characters. You pitch the idea, then you cross-examine it. One person running a full writer's room. Ideas that stay inside your head tend to loop the same comfortable circuit. Spoken out loud, they can be challenged, flipped, combined into something new. Einstein was famous around Princeton for walking and murmuring his way through problems nobody else could touch. And you've done a smaller version of it too. Talked your way into an idea in the car that you never would have found sitting silently at a desk. Which raises one last question. What kind of person keeps their own voice this close? That's sign 5. And it might be the rarest one. Independent thinking. And a mind that never stops growing. You know what most people do when they feel unsure? They ask. They scroll. They poll the group chat and wait for a verdict. But people who talk to themselves run the question past their own judgment first. In a world that hands you a ready-made opinion every time you unlock your phone, keeping your own voice louder than the feed is almost an act of defiance. And that voice isn't just defending your opinions, it's building your future. Replaying the hard day to see what it taught you. Rehearsing the big moment before it arrives. People like this are in constant conversation with the person they're trying to become. Growth doesn't happen in one dramatic decision. It happens in thousands of small, private conversations. But now, the catch I promised you at the start, because everything on this list comes with one condition. The research keeps arriving at the same line. What matters isn't whether you talk to yourself, it's how. When the voice plans, steadies, coaches, that's the rare mind, all 5 signs firing. But when it turns harsh, when it repeats the same fears on a loop, when it stops asking questions and starts filing charges, that's not this mechanism anymore. If you saw the last video about people who are endlessly kind to everyone except themselves, you've already met that voice, the prosecutor. Same channel, completely different broadcast. And knowing the difference is everything. So here's what to actually do with all this. 3 things. First, steal the trick from Kross's lab before the next hard thing. The interview, the phone call, the conversation you keep postponing. Talk to yourself by name, out loud, the way you'd talk to a friend you believe in. It feels ridiculous for about 4 seconds. Then it works. Second, when you're stuck on something you've been avoiding, say the first step out loud. Not the whole plan, just the first step. Open the laptop, find the email. You'll be moving before the dread finishes loading. Third, and this is the one that matters most, audit the tone. For one full day, actually listen to how you speak to yourself and ask one question. Is that a coach or a prosecutor? Because the words are shaping you either way. The only real choice you get is who's holding the microphone. Remember Maya, embarrassed by her own reflection in the kitchen window? 9 the next morning, she's parked outside the office, and she doesn't go quiet. She looks in the rearview mirror and says, out loud, on purpose, "Okay, Maya, you've done harder things than this." Then she walks in. Same habit, completely different relationship with it. So the next time someone asks why people talk to themselves, you'll have the real answer. A mind that talks to itself refuses to run on autopilot. Which of the 5 signs sounded most like you? The self-awareness, The out-loud problem-solving, the self-coaching, the creativity, or the independence? Be honest. Tell me in the comments. And if this made your own quiet habit feel a little less strange, subscribe and hit the bell. Because talking to yourself is only one of the things people do when they're completely alone that reveal a rare mind. What the rest of them are, that's where we're going next. I'll see you there.